Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the MrWarrenHayes Show. I, of course, right here, am Mr. Warren Hayes, and I could not be in a more festive mood. No, that's not true. Okay, no, hang on, let me say that. I could probably not be in a more festive mood at this point in time as we are in December right now. It's December 16, 2021. And I'm saying at this point here, right? Because I'll probably be a little more festive next week. And I'll probably be a little less festive the week after. Like, I think the apogee of my festiveness is going to hit its peak next week. I think that's the moment where the maximum what's the word I'm looking for? Maximum festiveness, holiday spiritness. It's gonna be happening next week. That's a terrible word. I hope I never use that word again. But yeah, no, I'm really excited to be here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes on another Thursday night to talk about professional wrestling, because goddamn, I like me some wrestling, and there was a lot of reasons to love pro wrestling this week, wasn't there? Wouldn't you concur? Wouldn't you agree, people who are joining me live here tonight in the chat at YouTube? Like I said, youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, because that's what we got here. We've got another full room full of wonderful people who are joining us tonight. Look at this. We've got Tim Trevor. Good to see you, Tim. A good friend of the show. We got Robert Larry, who's here as well. Hello, Robert, and Kelly Tonjas as well. Hello, Kelly. You got Mr. Fretz, who's here as well. We've got 5th generation Carney Joseph with it. We've got Heather, who's here too. Nice to see you, Heather. Look at all fantastic stuff. I'm excited that everyone is here joining me live for the recording of the show. And thank you. And if you're enjoying this already, consider giving the video a like. Consider on YouTube right now. Consider giving it a like, a thumbs up. And if you're listening on demand on your own accord, whenever it's convenient to you, because I record live. But that, even if you can't make it live, I don't think less of you. I don't think you're a bad person. I don't think you're horrible. I'm like, look, what a busy schedule. That's absolutely fine if you can't watch the Mr. Warren Hayes Show live. If you're watching it on your own accord, that's fine too. But leave a like, damn it! I just realized that for some reason, I can't see. There's no live chat right now, which is very strange. Live chat is not appearing on screen. That's very strange. Sorry for the dead air for a second there, but I didn't know. I'm not quite sure what's going on. Oh well. No, we won't have. You'll be able to still see the live chat for people who are here, and they just won't have a live replay here on the video, but that's all right. That's okay. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Unless it's here. There we go. I figured it out. There we go. Figured it out. Smart tech guy who does live programming and still has barely holds together. Hold it all together using, twine and fucking duct tape at some point. Anyway, thank you everyone for being here, for watching, and you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Consider giving a like, a review over there. Yeah, I was reading that Spotify is going to be releasing star reviews. They're rolling that out if you're listening to this on Spotify. So that's something that that will help as well. Get the word out there if you want to drop some star reviews. That kind of stuff is awesome. Thank you. Thank you in advance. Thank you so much in advance for doing the thing. But seriously, I appreciate everyone tuning in, joining live whenever it's I really do appreciate it. I also appreciate if you'd head on over to belltobells.com. That's your women's wrestling wire right there. BELLTOBELLEES.com. Can also follow us on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/belltobells or on Twitter at belltobells. That's all. There's always some good stuff there. Always some good stuff happening around them parts. And don't forget to also join me. We've got a Discord, right? The Mr. Warren Hayes Show Discord. Happy, and it's a community of people who enjoy chatting about professional wrestling amongst other people who would enjoy chatting about professional wrestling. Come hang out a little bit. Come check it out. The link's in the description and so on and so forth. We hope you can make it. That's fantastic. I also hope you can make it to the post stream as well. I do a post stream every Thursday as soon as I'm done with the main stream. Post stream for members only. Members. What members? Members of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. They pop on over and then we sit around and we talk very, very intimately. We get to know each other so very deeply and profoundly. I might be slightly exaggerating. We don't necessarily get to know each other that deeply, but nonetheless, that's what I do. I do the poster for that, and tonight we are going to be talking about AEW and the Winter is Coming event. Of course, I'm going to be talking about it tonight, giving my review, but then I want to hear from you folks. From you guys and gals and non-binary pals, what did you think of AEW Winter is Coming? If you want to come chat with me directly, other members of the Discord, other members of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel, come and join us. It's fantastic. We take Discord calls, we do live chat. It's a great time. Come and join me tonight. As soon as we're done here. And it's a great way to show some support for the show. Absolutely. Another great way to show some support from the show is to send us a super chat. And I will read said super chat live and on the air. And it will be recorded for all eternity, for posterity. Your name etched into into memory, into human consciousness. Okay. Right up until, someone decides to delete all my platforms, and it's like, we're done with this Hayes guy. Just get it. We're done. Hit the brakes, pal. And then I get erased from history, which is probably, it's not something I want to see happen. I don't want it to happen, but I could see it happen. Hope everyone is ready. Oh, before we get into the weekly wrestling inspection per se, two little things, maybe to start off. First of all, this week it was, we learned that Jimmy Rave, also known as James Guffey, died earlier this week, just a few days after turning 39 years old. Jimmy Rave had numerous medical issues over the years, had numerous struggles with substance abuse, and these things led into him, his left arm getting amputated last November, and MRSA causing both of his legs to be amputated. Like, it hasn't been an easy ride for a guy who has had quite a storied career on the independent circuit. Of course, working in Ring of Honor, CZW, NWA as well, NWA Wildside. He's been pretty much all around. He's been pretty much all around the place, and very well loved, well respected from other members of his trade, other wrestlers who had wonderful things to say about him on this unfortunate, tragic passing. Jimmy Rave, 39 years old. Another loss for the wrestling community. Another thing that I'd just like to bring up here, and that you've probably heard about in regards to referee Lando Del Toro, who earlier this weekend was refereeing a match at a world-class pro wrestling show when he was to be part of an angle with Devon Nicholson, who probably a lot of you maybe know as Hannibal, which is the name, the wrestling moniker, excuse me, under which he wrestles under. Nicholson, who was wrestling under a mask called Blood Hunter, and I think I might as well just read the article straight here off of the Observer here. He had planned a spot with Del Toro, the referee, where the referee was to be bloodied up after a run-in following Nicholson's match with former WWE star Carlito. Instead, Nicholson lacerated him using what appeared to be a spike of some sort, hitting his head repeatedly and tearing an artery in the process. Nicholson posted the video on his own YouTube channel, but later removed it. Del Toro shared an image of the bloody hospital bed, and it's pretty gripping, that image. Of course, I'm not necessarily inviting you to seek them out. It's very, very real. It's very extremely gruesome stuff. And because it's all too very real, the wounds that Del Toro took to his head, there's been multiple images going around. He was stitched. He got stitched up, was taken to the hospital. His Del Toro's daughter was in the audience as well, if you can believe that. The promotion that is WCPW is announced Sunday that they will no longer use Nicholson and will do a benefit show in the future to help with Del Toro's medical bills. And there's also been a GoFundMe that's open, which I invite you to contribute to as well. Charges have not been filed against Nicholson, and he has not addressed the matter on social media. Well, at the time of this, when this was written, he had not addressed it, but he did later on. He did address it. Even went as far as to say that he had gone back to hospital. He got some kind of blood infection on top of all of that, right? And not necessarily something great to see, and even much less to experience. The things that get really, really messed up here is that here's the thing. When everything happened and everyone went backstage afterwards, it was they obviously called 911, but then the bookers of the show actually told them they were trying to play the thing down and were asking Del Toro to kayfabe the cops, essentially, believing that Nicholson hid the weapon because as long as he told the cops that the third ref was supposed to blade himself, that was fine. And apparently there was a huge lack of sympathy from the bookers in regards to everything that happened. Now, the weird thing is the wild thing is that Hannibal a few years ago won a $2.3 million lawsuit against Abdullah the Butcher after he claimed to have contracted Hep C after a bloody match with Abdullah. So, I think Del Toro in his Twitter statement put out at that time earlier this week that, there was no sign of Hep C, which was a good thing because clearly, Hannibal has it. What the fuck is he doing going around drawing blood on people? None of this makes sense to me. It's garbage. It's just garbage. And we've heard about Hannibal previously. He's never been a stand-up guy. He's never been, not the kind of wrestler that generates all that kind of good feelings and warm sentiments from others in his entourage. But here's one thing that I would add here. Excuse me. Here's one little thing that I would add here. Just to sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Just to sort of make sure that we stay on message and don't go off track too much, right? The uproar here is pretty simple, whether it was Hannibal or anyone else. I'm not a wrestler, but I've spoken enough to wrestlers in the past to know that one of the most basic precepts of what you do when you are a professional wrestler is to watch out for the safety of the other person you're wrestling. Because essentially, when you're wrestling, both of you are putting your well-being in each other's hands. And, of course, accidents happen, stuff happens, whatever. But generally, your idea is to look out for the other person because the other person is part of your trade. And, you definitely understand that making sure that everyone can have a long, healthy career, is able to do what they need to do, avoid getting any serious injuries. That's good for everyone. It's good for the person you're wrestling against. It's good for you as well. Because if you start getting a reputation that you hurt people, you're just not going to get booked. And you're going to be injuring a whole bunch of people along the way. So no one's going to want you around, right? Now, the thing here is that the referee, Del Toro, was essentially told that he agreed to this angle, but I'm pretty sure not to this extent. And all signs point to Hannibal taking some liberties. There's some reports floating around that he may have been intoxicated. That's neither here nor there. Whether he was or not still doesn't change the fact that he went absolutely overboard and took liberties with that person's safety that should not have been taken. Of course, you have the weirdos who are defending him and saying that the referee didn't want it, shouldn't have been part of the angle because it was all part of an angle. It's an angle. It's an angle. Again, if the basic trust between two wrestling performers, even if it is a ref, is yours, I'm taking care of you, your safety, there's no point in doing it. I saw a lot of people compare this for some wild reason to, I understand why, but, the people who defend this stuff always have to they feel like they have to go back to that one moment where it happened before, right? That one instance that will give them precedent where they're able to say, yeah, well, it happened once before. So of course, we're talking about the mass transit incident with New Jack. And listen, rest in peace, New Jack. I know he was well liked. He was a disruptor. He was an innovator, but New Jack was out of line. And this is regardless of the fact as to whether or not his opponent was underage or not, because there's all of that, whether he lied to get into the ring, so on and so forth. That's neither here nor there. New Jack just lost it, went out and was out of control, and that's something that should not have happened. There's nothing to glorify there. That's not cool. Same thing. Whether it was a new kid or a veteran, shouldn't have done it, and whatever Hannibal did, he should not have done that either. It's not okay. It's not cool. This isn't fun lore. Hannibal is a piece of trash for what he did. An absolute piece of trash. Wrestlers always tell me, you never let other wrestlers gig you, blade you, right? You never let them do that. You're always supposed to do it yourself. Unless you're absolutely 100% in complete confidence of that person. But you're not supposed to let someone else do it. Thought it was awful. Just some awful shit. Didn't need that. if you can donate to Del Toro's GoFundMe, please go right ahead. He is recovering. He seems to be doing all right. He had to go back to hospital. But a torn artery, man, that is no joke. That is no joke. Absolutely not. But if you can, it's the holidays. I think we can find it in our hearts, can't we? Sure we can. Just like we can find it in our hearts to move on to the weekly wrestling inspection. Well, now that we've let's get into the subject matter at hand. And again this week, I posited the question upon the grateful, no, not the grateful people, but the people that I'm grateful for, the live viewing audience of the MrWarrenHayes, and I asked them, what would you like Warren to start talking about with tonight? Before I do, I'd like to say hello to a couple of people who jumped in the chat. DGMC, who's here. Nice to see you, DGMC. We've also got Motown Slim. Nice to see you. Welcome to the chat as well. And our boy Mr. Fretz left a super chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, man. He says, bold prediction, Warren has a Merry Christmas. Oh, that you're bringing back the bold predictions. That's a meme from another era, right? But yeah, no, absolutely. I am, here's the thing. It's been 2 years, right? Since we've been in lockdown, in isolation, can't see anyone, and so on and so forth. So I haven't had like a proper Christmas celebration with family in 2 years now at this point. And I miss my mother, miss seeing all my family, my aunts, and so on. So this year we're not doing something huge because where I live in the province of Quebec, they're all clamping down again, and they're saying, okay, well, you can have Christmas gatherings, but not more than 10 people. So I'm like, okay, look, we'll work this out. But at the very least, I'm taking my kids, we're going to my mother's, and I'm going to be cooking all day. I'm going to be cooking a wonderful turkey. Sides. Of course, there's going to be stuffing. But you know what I do with my turkey? And here, it's super basic. But sometimes the most basic tricks are the best, right? And I don't know if y'all are looking to cook your own birds this year, but adding stuffing in a turkey actually helps dry out your turkey. I don't know if you knew this. I think it's pretty fairly common knowledge, right? I don't think I'm revolutionizing anything here. But it dries out the bird a little quicker because the stuffing is essentially bread, and bread soaks up moisture. So it contributes to maybe not, if not drying out, not providing you with a turkey experience of pleasure and moistness. Okay. I slice up oranges. Whole oranges, rind and everything, and I just shove it right in there. Just like that. You take that turkey. Right in there, turkey. But I do. Whole oranges, you cut them in quarters, and you stuff your turkey with them. It creates a little more steam, more moisture, and a nice little zesty aroma. It gives a nice zesty aroma to your turkey as you're sitting down. You're like, oranges. Trust me on that. I know some people do lemons, and lemons are all right, but they're not quite as sweet, not as tangy. You know, it's acid. You know, the acidity is a little high on lemons, I find. You know, personally, I like a nice orange, especially for, you know, your turkey. You cook it for 4, 5, 6, 7 hours, depending on the size of your turkey, right? I don't think anyone should really be afraid to cook a turkey anyway. There's like this stigma over turkey cooking. Anyway. Oranges. Let's start talking about, well, look, okay, so basically the audience chose for me to start talking about AEW Winter is Coming review. That's what we are launching the show off with tonight. But here's the thing, is like I'm gonna start by talking about, right, like I never feel good jumping into Dynamite without having talked about Rampage first. So I'm just gonna make a quick aside. I'm still gonna respect your wishes, folks. We're gonna do like the AEW thing, like in one fell swoop. Woo! Just like that. Justin Firestein, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. So let's start with last week's Rampage. The Lucha Brothers defeated FTR to retain the AEW World Tag Team titles. Good stuff. I thought this was another good showing by both teams. I think they're fantastic. But there's something just missing in the chemistry between FTR and the Lucha Bros. There's just something that doesn't entirely click. And I can't put my finger on it, of course, because I'm neither Cash nor Dax nor Penta nor Rey, but there's just a little something there that I feel prevents them from really hitting the next level. It's strange like that. Like I said, I can't quite put my finger on it, but fun match, great. One of these hot AEW opening matches. That's exactly what it was. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for playing. Good time was had by all. Then we had a 6-woman tag team match between Nyla Rose, Penelope Ford, and the Bunny, and Ruby Soho and KJ, which was all right. It was all right. It was fine. Look, the purpose here, of course, was to perpetuate the story of the AEW the TBS title tournament. Nyla Rose, Ruby Soho are both in the semifinals. They're in the final four alongside Thunder Rosa and Jade Cargill. I liked it. I thought on that front it's good. Let them get into these instances where they have to fight each other, right? Just let them go after each other. I'm cool with that. Make that happen. But holy smokes. I don't know. Wasn't quite. It didn't break the mold. I think it was a solid match. Like there was nothing particularly wrong with it. I don't know. I'm excited to see Nyla and Ruby go one-on-one. That should be a lot of fun. Then we had Adam Cole defeating Wheeler Yuta, still continuing this feud between Adam Cole and the Orange Cassidy, or at least the Super Clique and the Best Friends. I liked it. Yeah, I like these matches. I like this little setup that they have going between all of these people. Everyone in the Super Clique or the Super Elite. I don't know what they call themselves anymore. I really don't. And the Best Friends. I like the Best Friends. I like the Best Friends because you know what they look like. This is exactly what they are. They're just this mismatched group of, high school friends. That's what they are. Where they, you have all sorts of, and they all get together and they just get along. You're not quite sure why. They don't seem to share like there's no common thread. There's not like, they're all jocks, or, they all like Scorsese movies, or, they all listen to classical music, or they perform, they're in the band, they're in the school band or whatever. The marching band is what I was trying to say. Words tonight, Warren. I need more coffee. I like it. That's a good example in the chat. The Goonies. That's pretty much it. And I like it. And it's a good dynamic. I'm glad Trent is back. This was all good. Fun little main event. Little short, but that was fine. I liked it. That was fine. And I don't think, and then nothing else of value happened on Rampage. That was all for Rampage. An edition of Rampage where nothing else happened. That's it. We got those matches there, and that's the thing. That was done. Yep. Oh no! I'm joking! It was the debut of Hook! Hook! Finally! After eons of anticipation, after the internet working itself up into a frenzy in front of Hook, it was finally time. Everyone lost their mind. Everyone lost their mind on last Wednesday when it was announced that he was finally going to get his first match. Everyone lost their shit. Everyone tuned in. The internet just lost it. They were completely out of control. So what happens? He has his match against Fuego del Sol. He wins. Now, it's like I was talking about last week. There's sour pooses out there. They're just the sour poos. And you just go, I don't get the Hook. I do not understand the Hook. I don't know why everyone is so up in the bird about Hook. And you know who you are. Hook. Everyone is screaming Hook and I don't understand. Never seen him wrestle. Why he's so excited. And that's the part of it. This is the fun of it. He looks special, looks like the part, and everyone just sort of latched onto it. Look, he's a handsome young man. We're straight out the gate. Let's not pull any punches here. Good looking guy, fit as hell, super young, looks the part, looks like he could beat you up. He could beat me up. Could probably beat you up. You sour poos. I don't get Hook. The point here is that you could either, if you didn't care about it, that's fine, and I completely understand why. If you were like, this is overboard, this is too much, I completely get it. Because, some people really leaned in hard to the meme. But I really saw it as that. I still see it as a meme. The whole Hook thing, send Hook and all that, it's a meme. But I appreciate everyone who just sort of like stood back and let people enjoy it. Instead of just like going in and stupid, you're gonna get your meme, man. I appreciate that because you can let people just enjoy things that you don't. That's fine, and you can go over in this corner and enjoy and not enjoy that same thing with other people who probably don't enjoy it just as much as you do. That's okay. And that was the point about Friday. Just something extremely organic that came to a head. That's what it was. No one in AEW was hard pushing Hook in the lead up to this. he just picked up a following online, very vocal, very excitable. And Tony Khan is like, okay, well, we're pulling the trigger on it. Everyone lost their shit. It was fun. It was just fun. Now, the kid can wrestle. The kid can absolutely wrestle. And I loved Taz on commentary, sitting there, calling all of the moves of his kid, right? But calling all the moves, all the judo moves or whatever, like using the very, very precise, Japanese appellations to really make it sound like Hook was like the next coming of Luthez. It's like a technical mastermind of wrestling, where he's like, and I'm going to make shit up here, of course, but Taz is like, oh, and he drug him down into the Ichikamocho, great application of the Argar Chigagwak, and I'm like, what is he talking about? Like, these are things that I've never heard of. Probably like if I was more if I was more schooled in martial arts and amateur wrestling, I'd probably be like, yeah, he's absolutely right. That's what it is. But I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend. And I know the very precise scientific moves of, martial arts moves. I call moves like Falcon Arrow. I'm going to start talking about Ochigamarkaz or whatever. I don't know. I'm making stuff up. So is Hook the next coming of, is he the man who's going to save pro wrestling? Probably. I don't know. Probably not. And I didn't expect him to start down this path of rampaging greatness on Friday. He had a nice little match with Fuego del Sol, who sold like a madman to make Hook look good, and that's perfectly fine. That's what he was supposed to do. That was his job for the night. It's all fine, it's all good. I don't know. I have zero problems with anything that happened. I wouldn't equate my enthusiasm of watching Hook wrestle to me then go to an endorsement that he is the greatest wrestler out there right now and that he's going to save pro wrestling or something like, the hyperbole that came from the other side, from the, the sourpusses, sourpuss, was like, he just did a couple of moves, a couple of throws against a jabroni that made him look good. And yes, that's fine. That's fine. I can enjoy pro wrestling for what it is. I don't have to sit down and dig in and analyze into everything that's being done. I know what's being done, and I still was entertained. I think the kid has presence. He has an unnatural level of charisma, and he can go. He can do takedowns. He can set you up in very, very snug submissions. Sure, there was a couple of moments where he's sort of like standing around and he's looking for his positioning, and it's his first TV match. It's like, of course, it's not going to be perfect. It's fine. I enjoyed it. But at this point, I'm excited to see how he develops. This is what's exciting now. That's what's exciting for me now. It's like, now let's see how Hook grows and becomes a better wrestler. That's what I'm excited for. Very, very much excited for that. That was Rampage. Before we move on to Winter is Coming, I want to say that our friend Anakin JMT left us a super chat. Thank you very much, Anakin. And he said, I must say, this Spider-Man costume is comfy AF. Our boy Anakin drop some pictures in the Discord and was saying that he was going to see and has seen at this point Spider-Man No Way Home, and he went in full costume, like the bodysuit. He had put two options. He made us vote, decide for him, in the Discord. Two different Spider-Man costumes. Like one which was just like a top, and the other one was like the full costume. And I think it's awesome because he already has two Spider-Man costumes more than I do, and and he and we were all unanimous. It was like bodysuit, man, the full Spidey experience, of course. It's comfy, and I'm glad it's comfy on top of that. And sometimes those shit costumes can't breathe, man. You get instantly sweaty and you start to chafe. It's just awful. If you want to come join us after on the membership side, if you want to come join us on the post stream, become a member. And Anakin has promised us a spoiler-free review of No Way Home, and it better be spoiler-free, because I will not stand for any revelations on my watch. Winter is coming. Well, it came, and oh boy, did it ever. Show opened up with the title match in which AEW World Heavyweight Champion, no, there's no heavyweight, World Champion, Hangman Adam Page successfully retained his title against Bryan Danielson via time limit draw. That's right. They went the full hour. And to a degree, I feel we should have seen it coming, starting off the show like that. But my first thought was, oh, that means there's something big for the finish. Like they're doing something big to end the show. You know, these debuts that Tony Khan had been talking about, and so on and so forth. You know, so I'm like, okay, but no, we should have all been prepared at that point. Where it's like, no, we're going to give you the hour so that you have full time without any constraints, without any risk of any segment previous to the show going over, so that we don't have to cut time on stuff. This is important. This is the centerpiece. They started it off. And Danielson going off, starting, you know, trying to establish control from the get-go, right? Keeping a slow pace, using the rules to piss off Paige, right? You know, I have till 5, you know, going into the ropes to prevent Paige from doing anything, just to tick him off, get into his head. I love how smug Bryan Danielson is in this incarnation that he has right now, in this vision that he is the greatest wrestler alive, that no one can take him down and he can break anyone he pleases. I love how smug he is and how pleased he was with himself. And I love how Paige, at some point, he figured it out. He was like, look, I see what you're doing here, pal. He says, I can see you coming, so I'm gonna dodge out of this move that you're doing and then get a bit of an advantage. And then Danielson's like, oh shit, okay. I gotta regroup, I gotta rethink my strat here. We got a glorious hour of professional wrestling, folks. And there's only, you can only put it that way. It was a glorious hour of pro wrestling. All sorts of stuff happened. You had Danielson lock in a nice Romero special on Hangman. He did this great setup at some point where he grapevines Paige's legs, and then he's got Paige on his back, and he's grapevining the legs, and he's sort of over him in a mount position, and he's just delivering body shots. And you're like, this looks awesome. This looks real. This looks painful. It looks like they want to hurt each other. It looks like Daniel Bryan is looking to just punch a hole through him. Oihara moonsault by Paige. Of course, that happens. The pop-up power bomb spot got me. I was sure, like, they suckered me on that one. Popped out of my seat. Page at some point gets busted open when his head gets rammed into the post. Go to commercial. The guys rest a bit. You know, Page is on the floor getting attended to, and then Danielson was doing these jumping jacks, right? And these little asinine little low effort, zero impact little jumping jacks. And it was so wonderfully heelish. You know, just like, oh, you little bastard. And as we come back from commercial, Danielson is right back on him, drives a knee to the floor, keeping Page from getting back in, pummels him some more. Danielson then works the injuries, right? He's working the injury. He works the forehead. Page finally gets to fight back, gets a figure four locked in, and there's more and more back and forth in these moves as we start getting into the final third. And again, it's the little things in this match that made it work so well. Because look, when I thought when Page started bleeding, I was like, oh, there you go, Page is gonna win. I was like, to me, this was a sign. It's like, okay, they're really putting Page through the ringer here. They're making him like push through everything that Danielson throws at him. So, okay, well, my head hurts, and he's going to work at it, and that's the thing. But there's more back and forth. Like I said, this is a great spot where you guys know one of my pet peeves in wrestling. One of my pet peeves as far as moves go is when one guy is on his back and he locks like a Kimura or like a. Maybe not a Kimura, but he locks in he locks in the head, right? He just, you know, some kind of headlock. And the other guy's and so the guy, you know, lifts the guy from the floor and power bombs him. And I'm like, you know, now it's old hat. It's a pet peeve. I don't want to see that for a while. You know, it's like, I'm good with this. I don't want to see this for a while. So they did that spot. And Hangman is lifting Bryan Danielson, who has him locked in, but he drops Danielson, but Danielson holds on instead of, you know, going, and he holds on and instead starts driving elbows into Page's head, which I thought was fantastic. Just these little near things. They got me again on a tombstone near fall. Danielson did a regal plex. Deadeye by Page on the apron. At some point he flies off the ring onto the floor right on top of a table. This is good stuff. DDT on the exposed cement by Danielson. Hangman lands on his feet after an avalanche super slam and hits a rolling lariat that takes Danielson down, and it's just vicious and strong. And Danielson starts to do the kicking his head spot, and a little shortly thereafter, Page is like, I'm going to do it too, and he starts doing that as well. He even hits a surprise Deadeye on Danielson, can't put him away. Match comes to an end when finally we get some rolling elbows, we get a rolling lariat. Page is able to hit the buckshot lariat, but can't make it in time to cover Danielson as the 60 minutes hit. And I was like, God damn. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic wrestling match. For a TV match, for a pay-per-view match, I don't care. This was a great wrestling match right there. Now we got an exciting and full of psychology. You know how you often hear, oh, you know, the psychology in this match is so good. Or psychology will be used as this ambiguous reason to like, oh, why I didn't like this match. I thought the psychology was off, or why I liked it so much. Here, though, it was perfect. Pinpoint. Everything in this match made sense. Everything made sense from the competitors, what they were doing, the offense they were putting in. Everything worked. Everything. I was so happy when this match was over. It is one of those wrestling matches that I just think about it. I'm like, this is why I love pro wrestling. When pro wrestling is good, it is great. This was phenomenal stuff. And I'm going to tell you, and this is the great thing. There was not a point in this match where I felt what's the word I'm looking for? Revealed, telegraphed, where I feel that the ending was telegraphed. They started up the match slow and you're like, oh, they're giving them time. But at no point did you think that this was going to go the distance. I got suckered in a couple of times during this match. When Paige started to bleed, I was like, Paige is winning this. Like, if au contraire, there were some of the usual tropes that were used there as red herrings, as we slowly but surely and excitedly got to the finale that we wanted. Well, that we got. Let's put it that way. Because whether or not it was the finale we wanted, that, of course, is up for debate. Some people are absolutely okay with it. Some people are absolutely pissed off at it. Now, I'm going to set this out here. I'm just going to throw this out here. Just very simply. I really do think there is a clear mark in the sand in these types of situations when that indicate whether or not you have exclusively watched contemporary world wrestling entertainment or not. I really do. Because I think this is one of these matches that shoves it home. Because in Vince's world, a DQ finish, a non-finish, I don't even remember the last time they did a time limit draw. I really don't. Because people keep telling me there are no time limits in WWE. So it's like, okay, well, so there's always supposed to be a winner then. Anyway. In Vince's world, non-finishes have been brought to the point of ridicule, where you're like, what does it serve? What is the purpose? And ultimately, it's usually, very often, more often than not, nothing. There's nothing else that comes out of it. It's just like, we had to protect everyone. This is how we go. AEW has a clear, tangible history that you can point at and look and go, there, where matches finish with a clear winner. There is more of that in AEW than anything else. And all of these matches, despite the fact whether, in these storylines, they always develop into something else. There's always more to come out of these matches. As it stands right now, if I sit down and I look at a 60-minute time limit draw, and I am entertained from A to Z, and you got me by the edge of my seat, wondering what the hell is going to happen next, looking at these two guys work their asses off, I'm not going to complain. Not unless everything is sort of forgotten or retconned or that it doesn't lead to something more interesting. You know what I mean? And as it stands, again, right now, AEW has shown us that they're capable of doing some mid to long-term storytelling fairly easily. So I don't see why I would be worried all that much if I were to, I wouldn't be all that worried, honestly. Wouldn't be all that worried. Because I do think this is leading to another encounter. And I wouldn't see why not, because history in AEW has proven to us that this is the kind of situation they set us up for. I don't have a problem with it. My nitpick, if you want me to get nitpicky though, and this is something that, this is also something that I'm like, that I see both sides of the argument here. It is a little strange that it was decided that Hangman Page's first defense, his first defense of the title, was not going to end with him having a decisive victory. And that's a little strange, right? But it did give us all sorts of questions moving forward. Like, even leading up to it is like, is Hangman going to retain? Is Hangman going to lose? I had people telling me, Hangman's going to lose. I was like, that doesn't make sense. I had people telling me, of course Hangman's retaining. I'm like, of course that makes sense. And people start to, I bet you they go to a draw. And I'm like, why would they go to a draw? And like, I get it. It's a weird way to approach it. But I also think that it kind of works into, the anxiety millennial cowboy thing, anxious millennial cowboy thing, not anxiety. Where he's like, well, set a seed of self-doubt a little bit. Maybe, not quite sure to put the big guy away. You can also look at this on the other side of the spectrum here. You can look at what this match establishes if you want to take the time to think about this stuff. Bryan Danielson, since he has arrived in AEW, has been positioned as the best wrestler in the company. That hasn't won a title. But that's exactly what they're doing with him. He wrestled 30 minutes to a draw against the world champion, a guy who many consider to be the best wrestler in the world, Kenny Omega. 30 minutes. Omega couldn't put him away. He couldn't put Omega away either. But look, he's on that level. So what does that mean for Adam Page here? Adam Page went 1 hour with the guy who went 30 minutes with the invincible Kenny Omega, which Adam Page finally got the best of. Absolutely. But his first challenger out the gate was the guy who couldn't put Omega away, and Omega couldn't put away either. And on top of that, he went twice as long as Omega did. What is that sort of starting to establish here? That Hangman Page is on another level than Kenny Omega is right now. Went twice as long with the guy that Omega couldn't put away. Couldn't put him away himself, but he could hang with him. And that's meaningful. That's still meaningful. We're not done yet with this. And that's the good thing. And I think Tony Khan knew this ahead of time. He was like, we're going to give them this. And when we come back to this match, people are going to go nuts for it. And why wouldn't you? That's kind of like, it makes sense to me. And when you're in a sporting environment of pro wrestling, like AEW is supposed to be, where time limits are part of the game, where time limits are a thing, and can directly impact match outcomes, like it is the case in Japan quite a bit, I kind of prefer that. I think moving forward, I think AEW should even focus more on the time limits in the matches. Like, just underscoring, a little heavier handed than they are now. Not be so dismissive about it. It's like, so that when it does happen, we're all privy to the fact that, well, we knew going into this 60-minute time limit draw, 30-minute whenever. I don't know, maybe it's the old school in me. Maybe it's, I couldn't tell you. But this kind of stuff doesn't bother me because it's done very well. And because we're in an environment where stories do seem to matter and make sense, and we're able to make good moving forward. So I don't know. A lot of people would have been miserable in the era of the WCW television title. It was like there were 15 minutes. And you would often get time limit draws. It would have been miserable. Let's keep moving. Anyway, it was a great match. Hikaru Shida defeated Serena Deeb in their third encounter. The third time that they fight each other. Shida gets the upper hand here. Gets the wins the rubber match essentially, right? I thought this was a great match, and I mean, they go right after each other, right? And it's like, literally, like, Aubrey is in the middle and she's pushing them apart. And she's like, ladies, we're going to do this right. Let me ring the bell. I got to do my job, And that was like, it was just awesome. And Deeb goes right for the knee, right? Starts grapevining it around the post. And my God, Deeb is so fucking sound. Like, she is pinpoint precise in everything she does. And I don't know. I think it was during a picture-in-picture moment. And I don't know if this was an homage. I don't know how clear-cut it was supposed to be. But at some point, Deeb hits a snapmare, but like a Bret Hart snapmare. And then she stands back up, and then she twists, the tip of her boot on Deeb's forehead, which is another Hitman thing. So I'm like, she's leaning into it. Everyone who's calling her Bret Hart, she's leaning into it, and she's not hiding where her inspirations are. No woman right now on the AEW roster wrestles like Serena Deeb does. No one. She is too good at what she does. She is absolutely fantastic. And Shida's great too. She hits a pinpoint enziguri right on Deeb's face. Like perfect boot placement. I love the swinging pair of neck breakers by Deeb. She does two, goes for a third one, gets reversed into a Falcon Arrow by Shida. And, Deeb tries to cut corners. She takes the turnbuckle off the top rope, and then Deeb ends up hitting her forehead on the turnbuckle, and Shida gets a sneak win, a quick smart win. Some people will call it a smart win, but others like Serena Deeb fans, we're going to call it a sneaky win. But it was great. It was great. And we were talking about this in the Discord today. By the way, y'all should join. Jason PS3, good to see you, by the way. Welcome to the chat. You should join the Discord because we talk about all sorts of things. And one of the things that a couple of us were talking about was, I think someone said, I liked this match, but not as much as their second match, right? And I'm like, isn't this fantastic? Isn't this great that we're sitting here and we had three fantastic matches by three super talented performers who have incredible chemistry with each other, which has to be underscored. And we're just sitting here and we're saying, you know what? I didn't like this one as much as that one, but like they're all good matches. And we're all just like nitpicking at what we preferred because this, but none of us are saying this match stunk. They were all great matches. Like, it's kind of like when we talk about Okada Tanahashi matches. You know, that Wrestle Kingdom leg match is like, you know, usually the penultimate Okada Tanahashi match, but then they'll meet in other matches also, you know, all the time outside. It might not be as great as that one, might not be as great as the one that they, you know, and I'm making stuff up, you know, in Dominion in 2017 or whatever. But they're still good matches. And, you know, you're sort of like, and that's what you do in your reviews. You're sort of like, look, we know Okada and Tanahashi can have greater matches than this, but this was great. This was good. This was a lot of fun. Not as great as their great matches, but it is still a good match. And this is kind of how I felt talking about it. And you know what? That felt good. That felt good. It felt good to sit down and just look at two women perform and not feel that you have to sort of grade on a curve or that you sort of have to be, well, you know, this was a good wrestling match, again, from these two women who can wrestle so well together. Just fantastic stuff. Now, again, this is what I'm going to push here once again, is that we should be getting more women's matches on a weekly basis on the main shows, because there are more women who can go like this on that roster. And people get excited for these matches now. They just get excited. There's a reason why they put Shida and Deeb III on this card here, because they needed a good solid feud that they could just, and there's another thing for the women's division, a feud that you can just like pop out of nowhere and be like, look, remember, these two hate each other, remember? And they cut a couple of promos and that's it. It's like, yeah, we know they hate each other and it's awesome because then they wrestle great matches against each other because they don't wrestle like anyone else. We need that variety. We need more of that, more women's matches. And the only way your women are going to evolve and change and improve and become better on television, AEW, my God, is by putting them on TV, by making them feel important. I know they get time on Dark, and I appreciate that. On Dark Elevation, that's great. But we still know, because we hear the comments, we hear the commentary, we hear the people talking. It's not taken as seriously as if it's put on the main cards. And you know this, AEW, you know this. You know that if the things that you take seriously, that you want people to really get into, you put on your flagship shows. Of course, that's how it goes. Just do it. Just do it. You have the talent. The AEW women's roster has never been this solid. It's never been this good. It's never been this compelling, with all sorts of levels of readiness and talent and a variety of wrestling styles in there as well. It's not just all women doing tornado DDTs all the time. This is great. Lean into it. Make it happen. Make it grow. Well, look, I'm thrilled that Brody King is going to be allegedly, right? Allegedly. He's reportedly signing with AEW, right? With the Malachi Black stuff that we saw. But and that's great because Brody King is amazing. But there are so many women still out there. So many women that you showcase on Dark, that you bring to the local shows to have them have enhancement matches. You had Marina Shafir this week. On Dark have a particularly competitive match with Chris Statlander, and it ruled. Bring him in. Come on, let's do it. You've got the tiered level. Just give us another 10-minute match of women per week. I don't need to hear CM Punk and MJF cut promos on each other. I don't. We've already had close to an hour like for something like 50 minutes of promo time between the two up until this point. We're good. That's a very lopsided ratio. Bring in the women. Have them wrestle. Let them wrestle. You let Ty wrestle and look how good she's become. Bring Shafir. Shafir had, I thought, a signature-worthy performance. Is it okay if I sort of sidebar here on Marina Shafir? Because of course it's okay if I can sidebar. It's my fucking show. I'm gonna do what I want. Marina Shafir was one of these women that every time you've heard reports coming out from the news outlets about Marina Shafir and the PC, you would hear all the time, she's not ready, she's not ready, she's not ready. Fuck off. She's been ready for such a long time, and you had proof this Tuesday. Or was it or Monday? I don't remember which day it was. I think it was Tuesday. I think it was on Dark, not Dark Elevation. She was ready. She has been ready. She's just been released from the shackles of a wrestling company that was telling her, look, all of your natural strengths, we don't want you to use them. We want you to wrestle this way. MMA background, shoot background, whatever. We don't want you. My God, I gotta... Thank you. Thank you so much for the subscription. Talk about interrupting Iran. Unigum Evil. Thank you very much for the subscription. I got shocked at my own notifications. No, but she was fantastic. That's the point. If AEW made some solid plays with its women's division when it started. Some of them didn't pan out for a bunch of reasons, and COVID happened, and that made it even worse. And you had some talent that was clearly developmental, and there was some talent that was you thought maybe was ready for prime time, but wasn't quite there yet. And I think all of those kinks have been worked out. I think you still have some great developmental talent, some great people who are getting themselves over. And the talent that you wanted to bank on 2 years ago, you are banking on them today. Like Britt Baker, for instance, like Nyla Rose. Talent who weren't quite there yet, but have leaned into their roles and are fantastic to watch today. Bring in people who can supplement that can complement that. And you see it all the time. You see Marina Shafir. Just a fantastic showing. Absolutely fantastic showing. I guess this is my bi-weekly AEW put your women on TV more often. I guess that's what this rant is turning out to be. Despite the shocking subscription to the YouTube channel. I was like, something crashed. Oh, I love wrestling, and I love women's wrestling on top of that. I just, I want the equal playing field. That's all I want. That's really all I want. And the only way we're going to get there, folks, is if the women are perceived as big deals. If the women are perceived as big deals, if the women's division is perceived as a big deal, your audience is going to follow. It's math. I think that's what math is. I don't know. I'm an English major. I want to say hello. Hey, Conrad of Everything Pro Wrestling is here. Thank you very much. And Pete Davies is here too. There was also there were some happenings, right, on the show. Adam Cole sort of teasing that there's a present, and then Kyle O'Reilly on social media going, "What's in the box?" And you're like, "Okay, guys, all right, okay, all right, we're reuniting this trio." And do we really call them the Undisputed? Like, is it like I get that that the Undisputed Era is probably what gave them prominence, right? But it's like I've mentioned before. Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, especially Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, like that, they're well, look, I'm not going to get bent out of shape too much because, in my opinion, the lore of AEW is the lore of wrestling, right? So if these guys come in with the baggage that they've been allies, together since Ring of Honor and through New Japan and whatever, and into NXT, well, that's just the way it's going to go, right? That's just the way it's going to be. You're just going to set everything up. You're just going to set everything up like that to get to get these guys back together because people are used to seeing them together because they have this long history. So it's not just a WWE NXT thing. It's not just it's really the lore of wrestling. And even if it was just that, it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't matter. I much prefer to a certain degree that AEW leans into the history that these people have together, as opposed to working vehemently that they never speak of it again, kind of thing. So that's pretty cool. We also had some nonsense between Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr., who are started getting pissy over the fact that Malachi Black is coming after them and that he spat the mist onto Julia Hart. Now, Julia Hart wasn't there, and she's not around. And, Griff is sort of like, Brian, you haven't been checking on her. And Brian's like, I lost my phone, man. I tweeted about it last week. He didn't say that. That's my joke. Because he did say that he lost his phone and his girlfriend. I'm not making fun of his relationship status. The phone was funny, though. Even though it sucks, it's still, yeah, so they're all getting mad at each other. It's like, where were you and what were you doing? And now Griff Garrison's going to be fighting Malachi Black next week. And Malachi Black had a vignette where he was teasing a new member of the House of Black and says, now you are more than a king. And everyone's like, it's Brody King. And then he starts hearing reports that Brody King is allegedly signed with AEW. I'm really like Brody King. Brody King is a good value for AEW because as opposed to maybe some other recent acquisitions from the con, Brody King looks special. He's big, tattooed, looks like he doesn't look like anyone else on the roster. He is going to stand out. He's a huge guy, athletic guy, looks like $1 million. Some other people that were picked up recently, they're like, not that they're not talented, not that they're not good at what they do, but it's like, they sort of fall into a mold here where you're like, look, you've already got tons of dudes like this that you don't know what to do with. It's good stuff. And so I'm excited to see Brody King, if it is going to be Brody King, probably going to pop up next week. And, and then he and Malachi Black are just going to annihilate the varsity squad, varsity blondes. That's, I think that's destiny at this point. And we also had the main event, which was Dante Martin versus MJF, which I thought was fine. I thought nothing that blew my mind, really. Nothing that really tore the house down. I thought it was all right. I think it was kind of one of those. Here's the thing: is like our boy Dante is absolutely fantastic, right? He's absolutely amazing, but you can tell that he still has he still has a little polishing off left. He's not a finished product, and that's all right. At his age, I'm pretty sure he looks to me like he's the guy who has that humility about him to be like to realize, oh, yeah, I'm not. because he overshoots things. Like he fly. The boy can fly, and he legitimately flies. Like it's not like, oh, he jumps high into the air. No, this guy flies. All right, I have seen a man fly. Okay. But yeah, no, but it was all right. It was fine. It was fine, and MJF got the Salt of the Earth submission to finish this off. And after the match, there was a beatdown with FTR, and then CM Punk came in. Darby Allin and Sting appeared. Maybe not in that order. CM Punk wearing a pro-choice T-shirt in Texas, which I thought was amazing. Hella ballsy on his part. Good for him. No, I love it. I thought it was very, very. I thought it was very good. Very good post-match, setting up the six man. It's fine. It's fine. Now we're gonna tease MJF and Punk going at it, which is fine. Cut the fucking promos. You've said all the junk you had to say about each other. I don't know what you could add. Anything like, I don't think it could be any more interesting at this point. I think we're good. Oh, and Wardlow got his squash on Matt Sydal. And I like how annoying Sean Spears is here, because now you're just like, kick his ass, Wardlow. Get rid of it. There's so much baggage here weighing you down, Wardlow. And I like this triple powerbomb thing where it's like, I'm going to finish you proper. And Sean Spears is like, no, pin him. You already got him. And Wardlow like, fuck you. I like this. I like the slow turn of Wardlow that keeps continuing. I like it. That was, what was the name of the show? Winter is Coming? I'm being facetious. I thought it was, look, it's come for Danielson, come for Paige Danielson, stay for Shida Deeb III. That's my overall recommendation. Good show, fun show. I like fun things. Did y'all hear that Kevin Owens has re-signed with WWE? After many speculatives, all of these speculatations from everyone everywhere, and not to mention, come on guys, let's be honest with each other here. A lot of people working themselves into a shoot here, right? For being just honest amongst each other, we're among pals here. We can have this level of conversation, right? It was reported earlier this week, Kevin Owens was broken by Fightful, that the 37-year-old Kevin Owens has re-signed with his existing deal that was set to expire at the end of January 2021. Pat LaPrade, shout out Pat, how you doing? Of TVA Sports, or as we say around here in Quebec, TVA Sport, said that he actually interviewed Kevin Owens and that he broke the news on his podcast, but it just hasn't released yet. Well, at the time it hadn't been released. It released today. It's a multi-year agreement that Kevin Owens has re-signed here. He's been with the company since 2014, since debuting on NXT programming at the December takeover that year. Became in 2015. Oh, yeah. He was NXT champion and was on the main roster that very spring. He won the vacant Universal Championship after Finn Balor sustained an injury the previous month, but would hold the championship until the following March, from September 2016 to March, losing to a man whose name shall not be uttered tonight on this podcast because I'm feeling good. Owens explained why he opted to re-sign with WWE, and he did it because of the fam. That's right. Can't say it surprises me. Here's the exact quote. I'll settle for just saying that his contract, still ends on January 31st, but not 2022. I'm going to be around for several more years. This decision was pretty easy because it was really the best thing for my family. When it comes down to it, it's always a pretty easy decision. The WWE has been my home for 7 years, so I have a sense of belonging. Basically, I've spent the majority of my career there. When you look at all the wrestling companies I've wrestled in WWE, that's where I've been the longest. That's where I need to be for the next few years. That's how I felt, and that's the decision I made. How can you argue against that? There's no way. I don't know how you can just come out here and say, because frankly, and there's people I like who got extremely mad at this news. People, peers on one hand, chums, pals, people that I really do like, got extremely mad at this. And I was like, it's not, Kevin Owens doesn't owe the fans anything. He owes himself to make the best decisions for him, right? Now, would I have been excited to see Kevin Steen be reunited in AEW with the Bucks and Adam Cole and get ourselves a nice little Mount Rushmore going again? Hell yeah. Especially when when you look at the amazing stuff that Kevin Owens does, because what he does on WWE on a regular basis, there aren't many people who do what he does on a regular basis. So I'm like, if this guy's Unchained, imagine what he can do, right? Because we know how WWE works. We know the overproduction. We know how this goes, right? We know Vince has to believe in you. You have to be part of the plan, so on and so forth. So it's like, look, I can understand that fans are disappointed, and you're entitled to be disappointed, because ultimately, if you're attached to this talent and you want to see him fly with the best of them, right? If you want to see him soar to the heights that you know he can achieve, then yeah, absolutely, you can be disappointed if he's playing for the team you don't like. Of course. But here's where I'm going to come in with the big old but. I showed you guys my waistline a couple of weeks ago, so you know what kind of butt's going on there. Here's the thing. He made a choice for himself and his family, because there's so much stuff that we are not privy to, that we don't know. Honestly, we don't know how banged up the guy is. First and foremost, we just don't. So maybe he's just like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to take a step back. I don't necessarily want to go wrestle, go back to the style I used to do in Ring of Honor, because I can't do that anymore. And that's what people are going to be expecting out of me. I can't do it anymore. And that's legitimately possible. And maybe he just doesn't want to do that. Maybe he does look at the money and the travel schedule and he's like, you know what? I've done this. And this is good money. And that's clearly what he did. Made the choice for his family, for his living. Because, yeah, there was probably no way Tony Khan could meet the contract. And you know what? He probably used AEW as leverage. And you know what? Good for you, Kev. And good for every talent who does that. Whether it's AEW talent, whether it's WWE talent, whoever uses the other company for leverage, that's a gold star you deserve, because that's what you should be doing, because that's what a healthy competition does. That's the kind of situation it creates. You can go to the other guys and say, well, make me an offer. They give you the offer, you go back to the others. Look, I got this offer. Oh, well, we can better it. And then you go back. That's what negotiations are. It's crazy how I feel like some folks think that it's just a question of coming over with your CV and then dropping it, and it's like, hire me, and it's negotiations. It's not as cut and dry as, I don't want to work for Vince, or in certain circumstances it definitely is, but in others that's not it. Kevin Owens clearly sees this as business move. And good for him. And if that's what he wanted, he's got it, and I'm happy for him. And I'm happy that he's still going to be wrestling on national television. He's still going to be a reason why I'm going to keep watching Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, whatever brand he ends up on, because I love Kevin Owens. So good for him. I'm attached to him as opposed. Of course, I'm disappointed. Of course, I'm disappointed. The nostalgic in me, the PWG era, Kevin Owens with the Bucks and, all the West Coast guys. Even though Kevin Owens is, East Coast Canada. You know what I mean? It's like, of course I'm going to miss all of that. Of course I'm going to miss all of that. But that's why we have video. That's why we have YouTube, tapes, so on and so forth. Can revisit that anytime. I just find it weird that folks got really, really mad. But a lot of people did bank on it, and a lot of smart people, and I'm doing air quotes here, smart wrestling fans were saying, Kevin Owens is out of here. A lot of people just worked themselves into this situation. And you know what? Kevin Owens probably worked us too. When people were talking about, oh, look at his body language, he knows people look at this. And he's a wrestler. And he should work us. And we should be worked. And we shouldn't be mad because we got worked. It's good stuff. And good for Kevin Owens. Hope WWE treats him good. A couple of other really quick notes on Raw, which I usually watch. It's NXT. I can't. I talked about it last week, right? How NXT is clearly not for me anymore. I can't do it. I can't. It's not for me. You know what I tell you guys, and you don't listen to me. Y'all never listen to me. But you know when I tell you that WWE is incapable of building baby faces, that they've got this thing with heat, right? It's all about heat. It's always about heat. It's Grayson Waller. I'm sure y'all hate Grayson Waller. You're not just like in complete disdain of him, right? It's more like visceral disgust. Here's what I don't understand. This is what I don't understand in regards to Bobby Lashley, who is a heel, right? And he wants to be added to this this match that we're having at day one. Big E. At this point was Big E versus Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens, and now they want Bobby Lashley wants in on this because he's a former champion himself. So I'm looking, and so how do they decide to add him in, right? Because the way of adding people to any type of match in WWE is completely arbitrary. Like right now, it has been harder to get into this one match, this four-way. It's been harder for people. They had to work harder to get into that match, that four-way at day one, than it was to get into the Survivor Series team. It like day and night kind of thing. So Bobby Lashley says, I want in on it. So what do the Adam Pearces and whatnot, what did they do? Is that they set up a gauntlet match. They stacked the deck against Bobby Lashley. And I'm like, you don't stack the deck against the heel. Not unless you're turning him face, which I don't really feel like they're doing. But because he's clearly still a heel, right? And they come back, like they come back and they set up the matches and you're like, he's gonna do a gauntlet. This is weird. And he's fighting two heels in this. You're like, okay, and obviously, and then when the Lashley's matches were declared, when KO forces a DQ, right? Then Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce come out and they say, oh, fine, the matches are no disqualification. And you're like, this is babyface stuff that you're doing. You're supposed to be doing this to your baby faces, not your heels. Like, I was so confused. I was like, why are we doing this? Why should this be a thing? I'm not rooting for Bobby Lashley to be, well, look, I am because I like Bobby Lashley, but I'm talking like character-wise. Why would I want Bobby Lashley in this match? Because it's making it harder for my babyface champion to win, right? And I get it. That's part of the deal. That's part of the thing. Big E overcoming overwhelming odds in this match to retain. I don't think he will, but that's the story they're telling. How will Big E be able to overcome three other former champions, huge WWE superstars kind of thing, right? But it's such weird booking. It's because you could be doing this and elevating a babyface in the process. But WWE doesn't know how to build baby faces anymore. They don't. The only way you know they're building a baby face is when a wrestler is cutting a promo and calls the other wrestler a bully. That's how you know that person is being built as a baby face. They did it with Bianca. They did it with Liv. They did it with poor old Braun Strowman. By the way, I echo Adam Shear's a message out on Twitter. I can't remember what context he did it. I honestly don't. But he said someone had called him Braun Strowman. And it's like, my name is Adam Shear. Stop calling the man Braun Strowman. Like, at this point, like, we can, unless we're like a group of friends and we're giggling and we're just, taking the piss or whatever. But for God's sake, start calling the man by his name now. It's Adam Shear. He wants to get over as Adam Shear. Braun Strowman is probably even a trademark that he can't, that doesn't mean shit to him anymore. He can't even touch it anymore. So like move on. Yes, Adam Shear doesn't have quite the presence as Braun Strowman. And yes, he rose to prominence under Braun Strowman, but he's not Braun Strowman anymore. He can't be Braun Strowman anymore. So come on. So what was I talking about? So yeah. So even Braun Strowman was when they turned him babyface. It was like he was talking about bullies as well. That's enough with the ball. That's enough with the bullying and the trying to build baby faces this way when you're clearly pulling babyface moves on Raw, but you're doing it with the heel himself. But I'm telling you this as if there was planning, as if Vince thought about this stuff weeks in advance. You don't. It's fly by the seat of your pants. It's like tearing up the script a half hour before the show goes on kind of bullshit. So no, none of this matters. Like, none of this matters. It's just completely bizarre. It's completely bizarre and such weird booking. I'm glad Bobby Lashley's in it, and I kind of hope Bobby Lashley wins because I like Bobby Lashley. I still think he's one of the better booked people in the company, except in these types of situations. Chad, I want you to. Okay, I think I'm gonna pop up a quick poll here. Okay, I haven't done this in a while. Is the Austin Theory Vince McMahon storyline weird and confusing? What a poll I'm putting out there. Because I think it's weird and confusing. Because I don't understand what's going on. I don't. First of all, first and foremost, okay? I'll tell you how old people book this show. I'll tell you how I know old people book this show. old people book this show because the heel here takes selfies. And in the minds of old people, selfies are annoying. Now, I would definitely say 10, 12, 15 years ago or so, when we started getting front-face cameras on our phones, I would say, yep, selfies were annoying. It was annoying. You'd walk around, you'd see all these people taking their phones, going ka-ching, 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 in restaurants and shit like that. But now everybody does it. Everybody does it. It's not even a thing you notice anymore. Everybody takes selfies everywhere. So straight off the bat, the fact that he's a heel because he takes selfies, that should be a sign to you that the programming here does not reflect properly, or does not reflect the age groups you're trying to get. Because, Austin Theory is just doing something that everyone would do. Always taking selfies with wrestlers he beat. So who the fuck cares? It doesn't, like, the idea is that he's taking selfies, and it's annoying because apparently young people do that, and young people are annoying, I guess. But yet we want young people to come watch the show. But I don't, but here's the thing, and I see in the poll people agree with me. I mean, yes, it is weird and confusing. But the thing here is that I'm starting to think, I'm starting to fathom here that this is essentially what it is to work with Vince McMahon on a daily basis, I guess. This is how it probably legitimately is to be a WWE superstar, when Vince comes with these weird requests and you try to do what he wants you to do and you don't quite get it, and then next thing you know, he's slapping you across the face and you're saying, I'm not giving you a match tonight. I'm not giving you a match tonight. You didn't do the thing. You did that thing when you were supposed to do this thing. Like, can you, these impossibly weird requests that Vince has on a day-to-day basis is probably exactly what we're living through here. That's probably exactly what this represents. There's probably a lot of meta in this, because all these people that he employed over the years, and he's trying to give them direct. What should you expect? The unexpected. Wrong, but you weren't supposed to expect. Like, how are you supposed to understand anything that Vince wants? How are you supposed to understand it? And this is what's being translated into this angle, and I don't understand what Vince wants, and I don't understand what Austin Theory is supposed to do. I don't know what he expects of him. And not that I feel bad for Austin Theory, because Austin Theory can go jump off a cliff, but you should not be feeling sympathy for Austin Theory right now, which is kind of what this whole thing is signaling. It's like, poor Austin Theory, he's trying his best here. Vince is just a confused old man. And I'm like, well, this is Raw. This is Monday Night Raw. This is WWE in general. This is what it is. It's confused old man. It's confused old man trying to relay instructions to the kids that are trying to impress him and only him. And they're failing. And he's being obtuse. And they're like, dude, I'm trying. You're giving me these directions. I'm doing my best here. I don't get it. It's weird. I want to circle back for a second here, because Cyclops is better than Wolverine left us a super chat. Still a very controversial name, but thank you very much for the super chat. And he ponders the question here, back when we were talking about AEW. What was the point of Dante Martin joining Team Taz? Well, so that he could feud with Ricky Starks, obviously. No, I'm being facetious, because I'm not entirely sold. I'm not entirely sold on that thing. I didn't think it was all that great. I thought it was a fun swerve. I thought it was a fun swerve when Dante decided to sign with with Team Taz, because I think everyone was like, yeah, he's gonna go with Leo. Of course he's gonna go with Leo, and he didn't. And you're like, oh, it's like, this is fun. And I talked about it last week at the Battle Royal. I didn't think the turn was all that convincing. I don't think it was clear, and it really does feel like it came out of nowhere. Don't get me wrong. Ricky Starks versus Dante Martin is a match I can get into. That's not my issue. I'm okay with it. But I don't like they really could have maybe give it a little more elbow room. They could have stretched it out a couple of weeks. Give us the impression that Dante Martin was really knees deep into Team Taz before doing the split up. And the split up could have been better handled, because I can't imagine how confusing it was for people in the audience, because we had Taz on commentary going, he double-crossed us, that son of a bitch, kind of thing. But I can't imagine the people in the audience were like, so are they, was that an accident? Are they good? There was no backbone to that turn. You know what I mean? Weird. Thank you for the super chat. Cyclops is better than Wolverine. I'm going to close this out talking about new Japanese professional wrestling. There's a couple of news bites that have got me excited. First and foremost, Best Super Juniors tournament has concluded a couple of days ago. Our boy Hiromu Takahashi defeated Yo, of all people, to win the trophy and be the best of the Super Juniors this year. Interesting, because I said of all people, because I'm not that big a Yo guy. Shows my dude. Yo, it's all right. Yo started the tournament, lost his 4 first matches in a row. And I was like, everyone was like, okay, he's there. Yeah, he's eating pins. This is what he's here for. Good for him. Meanwhile, Kanemaru Yoshinobu, he's not dominating, but he's on track. He's having great matches. I'm like, holy shit, am I going for Kanemaru here? Am I rooting for Kanemaru to win Best Super Juniors 2021? But no, our boy Yo here decides that, I'm done losing. Here I go. He wins 7 in a row. It is the best. This is what Chris Charlton told us. Best win streak in the tournament since Shingo Takagi won 9 in a row. That's fantastic. That's one for the record books right there. I liked this match. I thought it was good. Early on, they were feeling each other out. They were doing that, trying to figure out what this guy's going to do, what that guy's going to do. But then they just started slapping each other. And then they started chopping each other. Then it got really physical. It got brutal. And you're like, oh, okay. Now we got some blood going, blood pumping. No one was bleeding, per se. But, they're like, oh, let's do this kind of thing. It was good stuff. I really liked the main event. Hiromu's great. Good finish. Well, a good finish. Like, Sho got involved with the House of Torture, and there's some controversy around that because Sho is still in a feud with Yo, who's his former partner, and he got involved in the match because he doesn't like Hiromu either because he's in House of Torture, and House of Torture is now getting involved in everything. And House of Torture is legitimately the least interesting thing in New Japan, like the least interesting stable they have. Evil, Dick Togo, Yujiro Takahashi, the Tokyo Beam, and shows the saving grace of that thing, that a conglomeration of professional wrestling people. I really don't care for it. And he got involved in the match. It was a bit of a shit show, and there's rumors going around that this is, Dick Togo, who is a good friend of Gato, who is the booker, and Dick Togo's in this faction, and he was like, no, we need to get involved in this match and try to cost the match to try to get the match, try to get Hiromu to lose the match. And Hiromu apparently was furious and went to Gato with his, I don't want anyone interfering in my matches. I just want to wrestle. I want to wrestle a competitive match. Gedo nixed it. I'm like, no, this sucks, man. Like, I don't like this shit. Like, I really don't. Especially in the environment of New Japan, you really don't need this stuff. That's what's aggravating. And Dick Togo, well, he was around in the Attitude Era. He likes his North American wrestling, and so does Gedo. So, there's going to be more and more of this junk. We had called this last year, I think. We had called it. There was going to be more and more of this type of interference and garbage, and well, we're heading there. Anyway. So Hiromu wins Best of Super Juniors this year. World Tag League also done. Just to tell you how little I care about the tag team division. Like, yeah, look, the winners are Hiroki Goto and Hiroki Goto and Yoshi-Hashi. I couldn't care less. Like, not even Dangerous Techers. Not even, they didn't even face Guerrillas of Destiny. I'm like, why? I don't care. I really don't. Yeah. The tag team division in New Japan is exactly on par with WWE. They just don't care. It's just an excuse to get people on the cards. That's fine. But now that that's out of the way, we're heading down the road to Wrestle Kingdom. January 4th and 5th, and they announced the cards. This is pretty good. Look, good stuff coming from an organization that has been snake bitten all year, and they are doing the absolute best they can with their local talent. Because let's break it down real quick. Not many outsiders. Not many outsiders, and not many rooms for surprises either. There's one spot. Look, let's get to it. January 4th, main event, IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, Shingo Takagi versus Kazuchika Okada. That's going to rule. IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, that was decided. Current champion El Desperado against Best Super Juniors 2021 winner Hiromu Takahashi. That's going to rule. You know why that's going to rule? Because they had a fantastic match last year at the end of 2020. Was one of my favorite matches of the year, made my list. They're going to be on the big stage. Second to last match on the card. They're going to tear the house down. I'm excited for this. IWGP Tag Team Championship. Hiroki Goto and Yoshi-Hashi against the Dangerous Techers. I couldn't care less. I really don't. I honestly really don't. The Never Openweight Championship is also going to be defended on the first night of Wrestle Kingdom. Tomohiro Ishii versus Evil. This spells disaster. I think Evil's going to win the belt because he's going to have all the nonsense people. All the nonsense people. All the House of Tortures. It's going to be all the nonsense. I'm already dreading this match. But Evil, it seems to me, Ishii and Evil have this capacity to have pretty good matches with each other. So, like, I'm not completely shutting it down, but I am not excited. Here's the people's main event. The return of Katsuyori Shibata against an opponent to be named. Katsuyori Shibata, 42-year-old, this week entered the ring at Sumo Hall to make the announcement that he had a match on that day, and everyone lost their mind. Shibata is one of my favorite wrestlers. I was brokenhearted when his career got cut short in 2017. Suffered a subdural hematoma. And he had to undergo emergency brain surgery. He was told he'd never wrestle again. I'm excited. Now this is where the speculation starts. You have in the chat people, is it Kenta? Look, there's a full circle situation with Kenta, right? Because Kenta's a dick, and he went after him, you know, when Kenta made his debut for New Japan. It was like, oh, that son of a bitch. So there's a full, like, there you go, that long-term storytelling that I love so much. It'd make perfect sense. You know who isn't on this card either? Jay White. You know, you want Shibata to wrestle, maybe, you know, a low-impact match, you know, because Shibata still, you know, we don't know how ready he is. Like, he did that one match with, that exhibition match, that 5-minute exhibition with Zack Sabre Jr. a couple of weeks ago, a month ago or so, month and a half, 2 months. And they wrestled a fantastic technical match, and I had goosebumps, and I was riveted to my screen the entire time. You know, maybe that's what maybe that's the kind of match that he has to do. Something not too physical, low impact. I don't know. Like, we don't know in what type of condition he's in. If he wrestles a guy like Jay White, first of all, no one expects Jay White to be, you know, king of the strikes. You know, it's not Shingo, it's not Ishii, it's not fucking Kojima in the ring. You know, it's not a guy who's going to come pounding. We're expecting him to kick the shit out of anyone. It's going to be a guy that you're like, oh, he's going to be sneaky, he's going to be a heel, he's going to be a son of a bitch, he's going to toy with them, he's going to try and get into his head. Like, and that also makes a lot of sense to me, because you want Shibata to have that, you know, babyface comeback, that big babyface comeback. Jay White is a son of a bitch. Jay White's an asshole, and he's a perfect asshole for that kind of story, for that kind of comeback that you want to tell, right? Jay White just comes out and is like, Shibata, you know, let's see if you're ready. You know, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what kind. People are dream matching, of course, and saying Bryan Danielson, and I'm like, look, I am not going to keep anyone from dream matching and going, because look, if Bryan Danielson pops up, like he takes a break, you know, he lost to, well, he didn't lose, but you know, he goes and licks his wounds after Hangman Page a bit, takes a flight out to Japan, spends a couple of weeks there and comes back. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to bitch, but I'd be surprised. Swiss World Chris, good to see you. Welcome to the chat. But there's some good speculation here. This one is still open. You feel it's going to be a good surprise. It could be Kenta, but here's the okay. But Kenta's wrestling on night 2, right? Kenta's wrestling Hiroshi Tanahashi for the U.S. title the night before. Now, do you have Kenta lose on night 1 when he's supposed to be looking strong as a challenger going into night 2? See, I kind of think you don't do that. But I wouldn't put it past necessarily New Japan to have Shibata lose. But that would also be weird, because you kind of want Shibata to win. You want the feel-good moment of Katsuyori Shibata just standing tall. What I'm talking about, sitting strongly in the ring. You know what I mean. Cross-legged. That's what you want. You want the visual of him covered in confetti and all that. That's the feel-good moment you want. And I'm getting choked up just thinking about it, you know? Then you've got, this is an irk that I have with Wrestle Kingdom cards, because you're getting Road 2 shows on your main Wrestle Kingdom cards, and that irks me. This to me is a counter argument to giving us 2 nights of Wrestle Kingdom, because we're getting LIJ, Naito, Sanada, and Bushi versus the United Empire, Will Ospreay, Jeff Cobb, Great O'Khan, right? And that's setting up that in these matches we're setting up Sanada versus Great O'Khan and Tetsuya Naito versus Jeff Cobb on night 2. But these are Road 2 matches. This is a 6-man match that belongs on a Road 2, not on your fucking Wrestle Kingdom card. And that's what bugs me. And it's the same thing with the other match they have. Hiroshi Tanahashi, Rocky Romero, and Taguchi versus Kenta, Taiji Shimori, and El Fantasma. All, there's four... all of these guys are wrestling the next night in matches with stakes. I'm like, this is a Road 2 match. I don't care. Don't put those there. It's silly. It's stupid. That to me is an argument against multiple Wrestle Kingdom nights. Because they did it last year too, and it bugs me. This is your big show, Don't put we're not building anymore at this point. These are the payoffs. Anyway. Yo versus Show is also going to happen on night 1. Good. I enjoyed their match at Best of Super Juniors. I thought it was good. I'm excited to see what they do here. And the New Japan Rambo is going to be... if you're a fan of it, if you're a fan of that stuff, it's also going to be... It's a dark match, apparently, though. Or on the kickoff, whatever. Night 2, we're going to have the other IWGP Heavyweight Championship match. The winner of Kazuchika Okada and Shingo Takagi will be facing Will Ospreay. My prediction, and I know a lot of people are like, Okada, and I think they're right. I think it is Okada against Will Ospreay, and Will Ospreay is going to win it back from Okada. I think that's how we're going to do this. Because honestly, there's too many fucking titles. This is another pet peeve of mine right now in New Japan. Okada walking around with the old IWGP heavyweight title instead of the briefcase just fucking confuses everything. He raises it above his head. I'm like, stop it. And then you have Shingo, who has his belt, and you have meanwhile Will Ospreay, who says, I'm the real world's champion, and he has his replica, and I'm like, guys, this is all too much. This is nonsense. Stop it. I'm super annoyed. I'm really super annoyed at it all. Hiroshi Tanahashi is going to be defending the IWGP Heavyweight Championship against Kenta. We already mentioned that. I'm looking forward to this. Should be fun. Tetsuya Naito versus Jeff Cobb. Sure. This is going to be great. Jeff Cobb has been on a tear. I would see him win. I definitely see him win. Sonata versus Great O'Khan will also be a good time. You know what else is a good time? Me singing Kristen Ashley, First Lady of the MrWarrenHayes Show. Yeah. Hello, Kristen. And welcome. Never Openweight 6-Man Tag Team Championships. Evil Show and Yujiro Takahashi versus Hiroki Goto, Yoshihashi, and if you could have me, if you were to ask me, Warren, yes, what do you care less about, the tag teams or the Never Openweight 6-Man Tag Team? Oh, definitely. The King of Pro Wrestling 4-Way, which is still to be determined. Pretty sure Yano's going to be in there. That's fine. And then we're going to have, this is very cool, a Stardom Showcase match on the main card, second from the start, which is cool. Mayu, Starlight Kid in a tag team versus Tam Nakano and Saya Kamitani, which is going to be great. I'm so happy about this. I'm really happy. I'm glad that they've graduated from the dark matches, and this is the third or fourth year. I think it's been 3 years that we've been having Stardom shows at Wrestle Kingdom. Started with dark matches, then they're on the kickoff, and now they're going to be on the full show. And I think that fucking rules. And there's got to be more of this. Stardom, Jesus, deserves so much international attention. This rocks. This is such a good call. I mean, the Bushido Road co-ownership has to lead to this kind of stuff, right? It has to. What? because I've had arguments with people in the past, like, it's not the New Japan's responsibilities to promote the women's wrestling. Well, it's Bushido Road's responsibility to make money with its companies. So, why not use two companies that have clear synergies with each other, that have a similar fan base? Pro wrestling. Just go ahead and do it. But Warren, it is cultural. Hit the bricks. And the IWGP Junior Tag Team Championships are also going to be on the line in another match that I couldn't... Like, everything that has to do with the tags in New Japan, it's so underwhelming to me. Robbie Eagles and Tiger Mask versus Rocky Romero and Rizuki Taguchi. And what did they call themselves? Bullet Club's Cutest? Right? El Fantasmo and Taiji Ishimori? That's an El Fantasmo call. Look, don't get me wrong. I think the main singles matches that they have on both of these nights are all exciting. I think they're all good in their own special little way. I'll probably do a preview show to break all of this down. But you know what? On top of that, I'll be doing post shows immediately after nights 1, nights 2, and even night 3. Yeah, but they're supposed to. No one in New Japan is supposed to do another press conference, right? I think very, very soon, something like that. So we'll get into the business of night 3 very, very soon. But I'm excited. I'm excited for Wrestle Kingdom, and that makes me feel good because it's been a shit year for New Japan, and I think they're doing the best with what they have. And God, I hope 2022 is better, because it really was a snake-bitten bitch of a year for New Japan. They need people back. They need full crowds back, and I don't mean they need them at all costs. Please stop all sanitation regulations and stuff like. No. We need to get them, everyone safely back into full capacity arenas is what I mean. Because I want New Japan to do well. I want New Japan to succeed. Look, it's just as simple as that. And I think they deserve a better year than 2021 for sure. And one very, very quick bit. One last thing. Tokyo Sports, they call themselves a sporting publication, but they're it's a little kayfabe. It's a little very attached to pro wrestling. It's a Japanese PWI. Let's put it that way. Tokyo Sports revealed their 2021 award winners, and Shingo Takagi is Tokyo Sports MVP award winner. And I mean, that's all you need to know. And I completely agree. I think Shingo Takagi is the best wrestler of 2021. Shingo has had nothing but extraordinary matches. Look, good to excellent matches this year. Whether he was on the level of the world title, or when he was in the New Japan Cup, right? He was having fantastic matches with juniors, with heavyweights. Shingo has done it all this year, and he has not had. There is not a single Shingo match that you can go back and look at and say, not a single one. It's either going to be a good match where you're going to be clapping along, you're going to be like, I'm excited, I'm stoked, or just on your feet going, this is one of the greatest matches I've ever seen. And that's where that's the playground he's in. And look, probably Will Ospreay, hitting the bricks, not being on TV, taking a break because of the COVID and whatnot, for whatever reasons. There's been lots of rumors and conjecture. That probably, he would have been a solid contender this year. But he disappeared. And Shingo, man, has just been magic. He's been magic. Top to bottom. Nothing but great stuff from Shingo. I am not even remotely surprised. The best tag team, according to Tokyo Sports, was Tai Chi and Zack Sabre Jr., Dangerous Tekkers. The best match this year went to Go Shiosaki versus Kaiji Muto in Noah? Really? Shiozaki and Muto sucks. He stinks. Outstanding performer went to Jake Lee in AJPW. I don't know what exactly the difference is between outstanding performer and MVP, but that's pretty cool for Jake Lee, though. Technique went to Great Khan. All right. I'd like to learn more about these categories. Fighting Spirit went to Takeshita in DDT. Joshi Wrestler of the Year was Utami, of course. Rookie of the Year was Yuki Arai from Tokyo Joshi Pro, which is cool. And Achievement went to Rumi Kazama. The two nominees for the award included Takagi and Kaiji Muto for the MVP award, with Takagi winning the first round with a majority of 14 votes. Muto won the Best Bout award with Shiozaki instead. Muto stinks now. He really is. Oh, we already talked about Hiromu. That's the thing. Guess you missed it. Hiromu rules, though. You know what else rules? The fact that we are going to wrap up the weekly wrestling inspection. Ladies and gentlemen, we're done. Kaput! It's time to hit the bricks and go off to the choir eternal. No, don't die. I don't want anyone to die. No, but it is time to wrap it up for tonight. I want to thank you all for joining me tonight here live on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, or if you join me on your own accord on demand or on the podcast, wherever you could. Thank you so very, very much. We've got just a couple of more shows before the end of the year. I hope you guys stick around. I'm trying to come up with something fun to do, and I think I might have an idea, but you're gonna have to stick around to find that out. This is the first time you popped in, subscribe, and you should subscribe during the show, because as you saw, it scares the shit out of me when you do so. But hey, thank you again. I won't hold you. I won't keep you around any longer. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Pro Wrestling rules. We'll see you next time.